In a bar, I begged my boyfriend Elliot for $70,000 to save my mother's life. He accused me of lying, knowing she was healthy earlier. His friends mocked me, and under pressure, he offered the money only if I drank all the whiskey on the table. Despite my severe allergy, I drank until I passed out and was thrown out. Later, his friend Tiffany offered the money if I left him, but Elliot caught us and vowed to cut off all my financial support. As I collapsed in despair, I received a call. My mother had just passed away. Elliot, can you lend me $70,000? The lively chatter in the private room of the bar ceased abruptly, as if someone had flipped a switch. Elliot Mason's expression darkened in an instant. His deep, unreadable eyes locked onto mine, piercing and unrelenting. 70,000? What for? Before I could answer, a soft laugh broke the silence. It came from Tiffany Taylor, Elliot's childhood friend sitting by his side. I told you, didn't I? Some people pretend to be all innocent and pure, but the moment the opportunity arises, they'll find a way to scam you for money. And you didn't believe me. She leaned closer to Elliot, her tone mocking. You said it was true love, but look at her now asking for money. Seems like, to her, your wallet is more important than you are. Her words stung, and as she spoke, she didn't forget to glance at me with a smirk that made my stomach turn. I stared at Elliot, hoping for even a shred of defense, but he didn't move. He just sat there, listening to Tiffany's ridicule without lifting an eyelid. The others noticed his indifference, their eyes flashing with surprise before their attitudes shifted. It was no secret that Tiffany didn't like me. Most in Elliot's circle didn't. They believed I had stolen her rightful place and brazenly inserted myself into a world where I didn't belong. Normally, Elliot shielded me, and out of respect, or perhaps fear, they would grudgingly be nice to me. But now with Elliot silent, their restraint crumbled. Candice, you're really bold, aren't you? Asking for $70,000 just like that. Do you think Elliot's money grows on trees? The room erupted into a cacophony of jeers. That's why you should never date poor people. Otherwise you end up acting like a charity. And those harmless-looking ones? They're the worst. When they ask for money, they don't hold back at all. Candice, robbing a bank might be faster, don't you think? Someone even made a crude joke. Or you could come to me. I'll give you $10,000. Think about it. Elliot raised an eyebrow, but he didn't say a word. Instead, it was Tiffany who gasped in mock horror. Don't be so crude. She's just asking for money, not selling herself. You'll scare the poor girl. She turned to me with that same triumphant smirk, that I felt like a clown in the center of their derision, every mocking word slicing through me. Elliot remained a silent observer, watching it all unfold as though it were a play staged for his amusement. The pain was suffocating, but I had no room for despair. My mother needed this money for surgery. Gritting my teeth, I turned back to him and pleaded. Elliot, my mother is sick. I really need this money. Please, can you help me? The words had barely left my mouth when Tiffany chuckled again. Candice, at least come up with a better lie. Don't you know we've heard these cliches a million times online? No, it's not like that. I tried to explain, my voice trembling. My mom had a sudden heart attack. She needs an urgent bypass surgery. Before I could finish, Elliot stood abruptly and strode toward me. He grabbed my chin with one hand, forcing me to look up at him. His eyes were as dark and fathomless as the ocean at midnight. Candice, do you think I don't know the truth? Your mother's medical report from earlier this year is still sitting in my office. She's perfectly fine. His voice was cold. A heart attack? How far are you willing to go with your lies? I love you so much, and this is how you see me? Just a fool for you to milk dry. I tried to pry his fingers off, but his grip was unyielding. I had never seen this side of him before, so terrifying, so cold. No, it's not like that. I didn't lie to you. I cried, my voice breaking. Candice, you've truly disappointed me, he said flatly. Then, without warning, he yanked me by the collar and flung me toward the table. My forehead struck the edge with precision, and a sharp pain shot through me. Warm blood trickled down my temple, staining my vision red. Tiffany gasped theatrically. Elliot, take it easy. She's still a girl after all. Elliot ignored her entirely. His cold and calculating gaze never left me. I'll give you the $70,000, he said at last. For a moment, hope flickered in my eyes. Then he spoke again. Drink every bottle of whiskey on this table, and the money is yours. I froze, staring at him in disbelief that he knew I couldn't drink. Elliot knew I was allergic to alcohol. Whenever I attended a gathering, he would go out of his way to ensure juice was prepared for me. For years of this, without exception. Yet now he was the one asking me to drink. Elliot lounged back on the sofa, his gaze detached as he spoke. If you want the money, drink it all. That's my only condition. For the first time, I found him unrecognizable. But I had no choice. I needed the money. All right, I said, forcing the word out. Bottle after bottle, I downed the drinks. I lost track of how many I consumed, or even what they were. At some point, I was drinking and vomiting simultaneously, my face drenched in a mix of tears and alcohol. Everyone watched with a kind of twisted excitement, like spectators at a circus. At last, the final bottle was empty. Dizzy and trembling, I looked at Elliot, who sat there calmly, utterly unaffected. Now can you lend me the money? I asked. He glanced at me with disdain. What makes you different from those women who throw themselves at me? You're just as cheap. With that, he motioned for the security guards to throw me out. I collapsed on the pavement outside the bar, unable to move. My vision blurred. The night sky above seemed vast and indifferent. Elliot, has 4 years meant so little that you can't even trust me? That night, I nearly suffocated from an allergic reaction to the alcohol. Fortunately, someone kind-hearted rushed me to the hospital in time. The next morning, I woke up on a hospital bed to find Connor Wright sitting nearby. He was my mother's attending physician. When he saw I was awake, his expression darkened. Do you have any idea how dangerous it is for someone with an alcohol allergy to drink? Are you trying to gamble with your life? What happens if you're gone? Who'll take care of your mother? His scolding left me speechless, and I lowered my head in shame. I'm sorry, Dr. Wright. I'll be more careful next time. I murmured as he stood up, lightly patting my head. You'll get through this, he said gently. That I nodded, and he finally left reassured. Just as I was trying to figure out my next steps, my phone buzzed with a message. It was from Tiffany. Seeing its contents, I didn't even think before throwing off the blanket and leaving the hospital. My stomach churned, but I couldn't let that slow me down. When I arrived at the cafe, Tiffany was there, waiting leisurely. Will you lend me the $70,000? I asked directly. She took a small sip of her coffee, her expression mocking. Sure, but on one condition. Even if it were 10 conditions, I would have agreed without hesitation. Stay away from Elliot. If you promise that, the money is yours, she said, pulling a bank card from her bag and waving it lightly in the air. That I hesitated. One side was my critically ill mother, and the other was the man I loved. I had no choice. That I reached for the card, but before I could grab it, another hand snatched it away. That it was Elliot, his face dark with anger. That I stared at him in disbelief. How was he here? Seeing the smug satisfaction in Tiffany's eyes, I instantly understood. Elliot snapped the card in half and threw the pieces onto the ground. His voice was cold and sharp. Candice, I really underestimated you. The act you put on before was quite convincing, but now for a mere $70,000, you can't keep up the pretense?